All right, well, let's get going here. Welcome to our webinar. This is the Q2 product webinar from Campfire. My name is Kerrie Mitchell. I'll be taking you through the PowerPoint and the demo today. And I just celebrated my 14 years with Campfire, so good news to that to this week. And then I get into the PowerPoint here. This is our agenda for today. We're going to do a short welcome, and we conducted a series of interviews over the last 18 months or so. So we're going to summarize that for you and kind of show you where we're going with that, or where we came from there. Then we'll jump right into the demo. We're going to cover four primary use cases from the RFQ intake to costing, pricing, and a quick change management. Then we're going to show you what's on the horizon and a sneak peek. Do a wrap up next steps, and hopefully we'll have about 15 minutes at the end for a Q&A. Now, there should be a Q&A tab if you want to. We're going to hold off questions, if you would, during the demo and during this presentation. Go ahead and throw your Q&A, any answers or questions you have in that tab, and at the end, we'll circle back to those and try to answer as many as we can. Okay? Awesome. Let's get going. So welcome. You're going to be seeing a lot of information today. It's kind of like drinking from the fire hose, but probably you won't remember all of it. You will walk away with the PowerPoint and a copy of the recording, so don't worry about that. But as you watch today, what I want you to recall are that there's three primary concepts that we followed throughout the new V40 product design. The first one is simplify. We want to make sure that in every feature that we build, in every application that we're building, that we have fewer clicks and less complexity through the entire product suite. If we're thinking, does it add value? If it doesn't, or can I default the values? If not, I want to make sure that there's as few clicks as possible. Next is standardize. We want to make sure that there's consistency across the screens, and this goes for every feature function, and additionally, the data, how we handle master data, and even deployments and onboarding. Lastly, we want to make sure you can find meaning in the data. What does this mean? Well, we have, of course, standard reports and visualizations embedded throughout the product, and you'll see that, but that really only shows you a part of the picture. What the data needs to do is it needs to tell you a story. And this is where AI enters. We're going to tell you, wrap back up at the end and kind of show you a cool new AI feature that we're building, that we're going to do more of in all of the modules that we release. Okay. Real quick, this is going back to our interviews in the last 18 months. What we heard from you is the top issue is the quote turnaround is still taking weeks. And you are having disconnected systems and handoffs. There's version control chaos and no real margin visibility, no clear margin visibility. So, and again, you'll get the PowerPoint to read through everything else. So I'm going through kind of quick because we have a lot to cover today. What you asked for, this not only goes from the interviews that we conducted, but also through our experience in the number of years that some of you have been with us. You wanted fewer clicks and a simple modern UI. You wanted to be able to reuse past data. You want a global data model, and you want quicker and easier deployments and frequent updates to your systems. Hopping over to the module specific, we had opportunity management. You want to be able to help finding and prioritizing opportunities. You want to be able to get through that RFQ execution faster. And you, on the CPQ side, you wanted a simpler UI and ability for the teams to work in parallel. And most importantly, you wanted to be able to have a one-click P&L. You don't want to have to do all the different jumping through hoops that we have to do to templatize and create a standard report and then have everybody manage on that standard report. You just want to be able to have easily, I want to see my numbers in one click. And that's what we've given you. Okay. Now, the demo today is going to focus on four main use cases and one story. In managing the pipeline, the RFQ arrives, it gets costed, it gets priced, it gets approved, and then a change comes in. So we're going to kind of circle through these. We're going to spend more time, obviously, in use cases 1, 2, and 3, and then just a short brief thing at use case 4. You can see here that we've also got real quotes from our customers through the interviews that we conducted. You guys can read through these later on if you like, but this has helped centered us in the use cases that we've done today. Okay. All right, so let's go. Let's get started. I'm going to jump into the product. Okay, here is our new landing page for the Campfire application. And we've got our the modules broken down by different functions. So sales and commercial are here. We've got sourcing and supply, planning and admin. And as we add more, they'll be added to categories as well. We'll be focusing today on opportunity management and cost and price. I'm going to go ahead and go into opportunity management right away. Your landing page, basically, let me describe a little bit about navigation, and I only have to do it once because, again, we're going for that second goal of consistency. So we've got on the left-hand side here, we've got all of the navigation. On the bottom, we've got a settings. Over here on the right-hand side, we've got your bell notification for any of your notifications that are sitting there waiting for you. And then we've got your user profile and sign in, sign out. And we've got our links between our applications here, whatever you are licensed to. All right, and we've got our main content area here. Let me just describe a little bit about the opportunity management. We have renamed it from OMSF to opportunity management, only to kind of more reflect what we're actually doing within the application itself. At the top here, we've got a what's new. We're working on this. Basically, what that's going to do when you click check for updates, or it automatically will come in anytime a new volume file is loaded, it'll tell you the differences and tell you what's new. We've got a KPI section here at the top here describing about your pipeline. Got some nice visuals. As we scroll down, we've got a sales performance dashboard. This is what you'll manage with your the sales manager to manage your quota and manage the attainment towards that quota. And it's kind of a little drag and drop planning tool here. Then we've got going down, we've got engaged opportunities. These are things that you're currently working on and is currently in process. And you see you've got a lot of stuff there in my demo environment. And down here in the bottom, we've got something what we're called is unengaged opportunities. Now, what are these? These are surfaced automatically from your volume file. The system compares the volume file to the pipeline and suggests parts and pricing from historical data, which is what you see here. Now, obviously, it may not match what you're working on. You can update that, but it's a starting point and starting process for creating your opportunities and digging for anything new. So if you happen to see that out there, this exposes the entire volume file. So even programs that you may not know of or be on. I'm going to go ahead and start there, and I've got pages and pages. You can do this at whatever granularity. I chose the program level granularity, but if you wanted to do a little bit higher, you could do platform level granularity, so you're not getting so many. I just have a lot here. It's easier to show in a demo, and it looks it's pretty accurate down to the program here. It's telling me like I want to go ahead and concentrate here. This is the annual vehicle volume here, so I'm going to click and just simply click the engage button. And again, we want to make sure that we default for the simplicity. I want to load as much data as I can. I don't want to have you type if you don't have to. Before the OEM does a fuzzy match to the name for the Ford that came up from the file. And in the program, it's telling me it found this, but then if I did already have one for T3. I think I've done a demo already. If you didn't, you could easily click the plus button and this will add it to your master file. You go ahead and create the program and add some few defaults and hit enter. But since it already found one for me, I'm good to go. This part description, again, this is just a description. It's really really early. You may not know what it is. You may not have a number, but you do want to put some description in there so you know what you're working with. I'm just going to do some random things here. Okay, make it different. Also, you can choose a part category. And yes, these are set up for each tenant. You can choose what your categories can be configured to what you need. And I'm just going to leave it there. Again, I can choose a region if I want or not. I can refine these things later. And the idea, again, is to start with more general things for sales. And then as you get farther down in the timeline and through the life cycle, you'll add in more data and more accurate data. This was the platform volume that we had pulled in from the volume file, and I'm just going to change the take rate, parts per vehicle, give it a target price, and a target margin, and just come up simply with that calculates down here your part volume based off of your take rate, and target cost based off of a back calculation of the margin, and then give you an average lifetime revenue over the life of the program. I'm going to go ahead and click engage. So it's was simple as that, just a couple little changes. I'm engaging on this opportunity. And now I can scroll up to the top, in the top of my opportunities, and I see that this is in qualifying status and I'm at initial contact. So as easy as that, I've created my first opportunity. All right, let me go into the opportunity. I'm going to click into the opportunity. And you can see it's already filled in. There's KPIs. I don't have to do anything else. I'm just kind of looking through and scrolling through and showing you. The revenue forecast is showing you a nice graph below. I'm going to click on the financial. This is all the information we just added, so I don't have to re-enter anything. It's automatically pulled forward. So I can see if I need to edit something, I can at this point, or as I'm going through the process, I can click the edit button and edit any of that detail. I'm going to click on the volume. This is where if you compare to the volume file, it automatically chose some things for you based off of what it's got set up because it came from the volume file. And you can see here, it pulled some volumes down below. I didn't have to enter anything. It just automatically came up. However, if there was something that was incorrect, you could close or delete the ones that were there and repick criteria that would match more closely to your volumes if this didn't reflect it. So you can do editing there. Okay. All right. The next thing we're going to do is in this use case, again, the use case is the RFQ intake. And we're going to generate the quote, and we're going to quickly do that. I'm going to show you two ways to do it. One is this way, and then another way that we're working on is through email ingestion, but I'll show you that after I do this one. So we're going to give it a quote name, and then it just pulls from the part. You can change that to whatever you need. Automatically, it's filling the OEM program, things we already entered before, and then the part number here. So this assumes that you get a quote package from the OEM, and you might have a part number at this point, or you want to create a part number. If it doesn't find something in here that you've already created, you can go ahead and create one. And this will get added to your master data. Again, this is your sellable part, the part that you're selling to the OEM. And I'm just going to give it a number. Okay. I'm just leaving it the same name. I'm selecting the category. Again, I'm doing an extra click here, so I'm making a mental note that I need to not do this, and it needs to come here automatically. The manufacturing part, and is if you're already doing, maybe it's a refresh or you're recoding or something, you have an internal number already assigned, you can put that in here as well. If not, you just leave it blank, and then description automatically fills in. So go ahead and click create part. So automatically now my part comes up here, my part number, everything fills in for me, and I go on to the next part here. My annual volume, I'm just going to leave this. I can refine this as I'm getting more into the quote. On this page, I'm just going to leave what I already put in here. And then my technical specs, if I have any. And picking a quote due date, I'm going to pick next week, and start of production and end of production. I'm going to go out a couple of years. And again, if this was already, we're going to be able to default this. We have the vendor file, so we will default this going forward if it's not already defined in your system. Okay, so with easy that, I just had a few clicks there. I generate the quote. And I can put right into my quote details. All right, so let me take a short sideline here, and I'm going to come back into this. This is my quote number 21, and I'm going to show you the other way that we can enter a quote that we're working on. That's a lot easier, and you probably like this. So let me scroll all the way down to I'm on my quote listing page. I'm scrolling down to the bottom, and we have inbound RFQs. Basically, this is a way to set up and connect your email box and have Campfire monitor to see if it's got any new RFQs, and we'll automatically pull in the RFQ data, and we'll read through it and fill in some fields for you, things that you just saw me fill out. I can click sync now, or once I connect it to my mailbox, it will try to sync itself every 30 minutes, so you don't have to constantly push this button. So again, less clicks. And the other thing, anyway, so let me go ahead and click on review. I already have this in my inbox. And what it's doing is it's showing you, here's the email that came from the OEM. It's showing me a number of attachments that were already pulled in automatically and classified it into whatever document types I have. I have a generic one for upload, and I just created a catch-all for other documents in case it couldn't. So it does its best guess at where it should go. On the right-hand side here, you see the same information we just entered, only it's trying to pre-fill these. So AI is doing this for you automatically. And tries to fill in what it can. Important note here is that you can connect to a current opportunity in case you're already working on one and you want to connect them together so you don't double count. So that opportunity then now gets linked to this RFQ. So the appropriate pipeline, you're not overstating your pipeline. The quote name will populate automatically based off of what was given in here. And again, you can change these things if you want. This isn't pulling the forward. Again, we'll fix these things. These should come in automatically. And then here again is your part. If you want to, if you hadn't happened to set it up, you could do that. Same thing we just did on the other screens. And this one came in, you see the annual volume is different because this is the one that came from the quote. And so I'm putting it in, it came in automatically here. And it didn't actually find this in the email where it actually found this as it went through the documents and pulled it in from one of the documents. And technical specs, and that kind of stuff. So anyway, all this information is here for you, and you can submit it as a quote. Since I already have my quote, I'm not going to double count my quotes, and I'm going to go back to the other one I created. Note here also we have to ignore that's inside. If you look at it, review it, and you realize, hey, this pulled in my quote from Best Buy. This isn't really an RFQ that I'm going to put into my system to Campfire. I'm just going to ignore this, so that way it doesn't keep pulling it in and none things that are not relevant. Okay, back on the quote screen. I'm going to go ahead and click on the quote. And we've got the details here up at the top. We've got through here the quote life cycle. And as you can see, we've tried to standardize the life cycle that most of the automotive suppliers go through. They start with an overview. We go through feasibility, where the cross-functional team looks at all the information and sees whether or not this is feasible. We've got costing, pricing, approval, submission, and award. And these are the standard. These are grayed out because they'll become available once we get to certain parts of the process. But this is the standard one that we use for our quote life cycle. And we use the same quote life cycle for the EC because it really does follow the standard process. You'll see that as well at the end. In our finance tab here, we've got our production timeline and volumes. It automatically is pulling whatever the part volumes that we calculated with the take rate from the vendor volume file. And you see here that I've just also got 3 more years because my SOP went out, but maybe the volume file ended. In this case, I know that I've got an issue that I have to fix, that we need to pull in the rest of the volumes from the rest of the years. But in this case here, you can adjust to what the customer's asked you to quote. I can click on this here and let's just say I want a round number because it's just easier for me, or the customer has asked you specifically for a specific number. You can do a flat projection and push this down, or you can project based off the volume curve. I'm going to leave it on a reproject based off the volume curve and click apply. So it takes my number that they give me and it kind of pushes them down. So that way I get a nice curve the way the volume file had showed me originally. I can also edit any particular number, or I can add these extra volumes here. Let's just say I'm just going to put in some volumes to get these outer years done. And then we'll just go for 2 years. And then we'll go through it down. Okay, so easily as that, I just put in some extra volumes in here, or if you needed to change them specifically, you can do that as well, and override. And again, we've got KPIs now reflecting what you've just entered, and a nice graph to show you the volume and revenue forecast based off of what you've entered. And again, the volume tab, in case something needs to be corrected at this point. It pulls from what it did from the opportunity, of course, the segments or the forecast criteria. But if you need to change them, you can change them here. And I'm going to leave them because everything is accurate according to what I need. Okay. So this process here also, I want to point out that, let's go back to finance, that we have a little thing that says provisional basis. And you'll see this on the costing and pricing tabs as well. So what this did was, based on a previous quote, it automatically populated some data. And if I look at costing, it gave you a provisional cost. It was copied from a similar quote. And it started with something. So it was 102.70, and it pulled that for you to start, just to give you kind of a general idea of what this cost last time. And the feasibility tab, again, this is a cross-functional list that we can configure based off of what you need. But I've just got some general things to think. Now, this process here does not have to be completed before costing and pricing start. You can actually complete the feasibility at the same time and work on that throughout this process. It just needs to be completed before submission. And then here's the required assets. You saw this in my RFQ upload, my email ingestion. It documented. I can also configure these to whatever assets that I need to have on the RFQ. Okay. All right. So back on this costing now, again, this is provisional, but we're going to be refining this through the CPQ application. And this kind of wraps up my use case number 1, and we're going to jump into use case 2, which is the CPQ. I can just jump using my application navigator here. I'm going to jump to my CPQ and open it in a new tab. And I'm going to move this around. It's easier for the... All right, so on my landing page, again, the navigation is similar and everything's similar places as you saw before, so you don't have to relearn the new module. And it throws me into my RFQ, my quote listing page here. And I call it quote listing because it includes the RFQs and ECs. And you can see here KPIs at the top. You see all quotes, and the information about them, and then my work specifically, and ECO requests. I don't, anything that's been assigned to a team, and we'll go over that as well, will show up in the my work. Okay, we're starting here with the first one. My quote was quote 21. I have my new name here. Everything pulls in here automatically for the costing team. And we see here that it's awaiting costing pickup. And I can click this button, but I will in a minute. I'm going to click on the status. Each of the statuses you say, we also are standardizing for the workflow in CPQ. And it shows that we've got a number of steps, and there's steps here that are locked that will be opened up when you get to that part in the process. All right, so we're going to start with the costing here. I'm going to click the start costing button, and it pulls me to my first step, which was to define the finished good. Okay, and that's your sellable good. You may have a number of finished goods on RFQ, and that's okay. You can just add them as you need them, however you have, however many you need to quote differently. So I'm going to go ahead and add my same, and again, I'm going to be filling this in automatically. Right now, it's not doing it, but it will be defaulted to what you put in before. Okay, and you put in a revision and select a cost template. We support different cost templates, and a primary plant if you have any. So I'm going ahead and click create. This is my finished good. This is what I'm going to quote to the customer, and I just have one for this quote, and so I'm good to go for here. If I look here on my costing in progress workflow, at the top here, it shows me the quote I'm on, the finished good, just to remind me the one I just added, and it shows that the finished good has been defined. The next step is I can do BOM import, or I'm going to jump to assign costing team right now, and I'm going to click on that, and you can actually do that right from the workflow here. You can assign if you have your teams assigned. If you need to modify those teams before you make any assignments, there's a link here to automatically manage the teams. Again, just simplifying it, making sure things are easy, and the access to the functions you need are very quick and easy to access. I'm just going to assign it to my team A1. That's who I know. So I'm going to click Save Assignments. If you see here in the workflow, you see that the costing team has been assigned. They'll be getting notifications, and it'll appear in their inbox as well as on their My Work tab. And next thing we're going to import the BOM. So I'm going to click on Import BOM. It takes you to the BOM import. We can read any type of export from the PLM systems. We auto detect a certain number of systems for APIs. I'm going to go ahead and load an Excel format that I have right now. And I have one ready here, my generic BOM level. And I'm going to open it up. And you can see automatically I validated the file. It automatically mapped based off of the headers in the file. It tried to do a smart mapping, and it did a pretty good job. And I'm going to, if I need to check or change anything, I can do that here and map it to another field if it made a mistake. And you scroll down here, you see the results of your validation because it checks and makes sure everything's valid. It gives you a sample preview of what it's going to be importing. And then I'm good to go. So I'm going to import this as a draft BOM. All right, and you can see below it gives me a green message. That's great. Everything came in, and it's also showing me important there. Historical costing is available, and that's another really big time saver here. If you've got the part number already, you've used it before, the last cost that it was used is going to pull in here automatically. And I'm going to review what it did to see if I make sure I want to bring all of them in. At this point, you can uncheck something if you don't want a cost to come in. If for some reason you want to reprice or something new, or for some reason it's a part number, it's not the right part number, you can also select not to bring it in. Okay, and this includes your tooling and capital if you want to, if it applies. I'm going to go ahead and just for the demo, I'm applying all of them so we can start with something. Okay, great. We've got everything, all the historical costs are applied. And I'm going to click Done and open the BOM hierarchy directly. This pulled me to, as you see here on the left-hand side, to my visual BOM builder. And also, if I look here in my workflow, I can see that my BOM has been imported. So it's keeping track of the progress of what we're doing. At this point, I can look at the visual hierarchy here and see if there's anything I need to change. I can click on the item if there's something I need to change, or post import, I need to do it. I can click on edit component and edit that here. There's revision tracking and change order tracking here, supplier view, plant view, some other functionalities here. I'm going to do a quick peek at the cost roll-up. Currently, it's at 9701. We'll recompute that when I get to my after I do my supplier assignments. So next thing here, we've got these broke down here into groupings of sourcing and costing and pricing. The first in my sourcing is my suppliers. I'm going to click on that. And you see here that I've got all my buy items are automatically here. So your purchasing people can go to work right away. If I've done for the database, I've imported a bunch of quotes already from my suppliers. And this goes into your quote catalog. If you need to, at this point, also you can assign some catalog pricing, and then you can, if you have a Campfire supplier intelligence, you can get that started off, and maybe you need to requote, or maybe there's a new part on here, you can get that kicked off, and that will automatically synchronize with the supplier intelligence. I'm going to go ahead and click on auto assign. And what this is doing is using AI to assign, and based off of what we've asked for is just the lowest cost. And let me just click on one of them so you can kind of see what happened. There was three parts or three costs in the database. It was Johnson Electric, Bossard, and EFC. And it automatically picked the lowest one for me, which was Bossard. But I can compare if I want to look at it, and for some reason that I want to be able to pick it, it's going to choose. You can adjust this algorithm as well. I always pick the lowest cost, but for whatever reason, maybe strategically, I want to go with a different one, then I can choose that as well. I think last time I used this quote, usually I pick Bossard as an override because it's more expensive and I have a strategic, but I did a unit cost change last time, so it picked it up as the lowest cost, which is great because automatically it's already the lowest one, and already we're going to use it. Okay, and it would show me, it did have the same one, but if it wasn't, then it would show me this little green with an override. Okay, so that's as easy as that. All of my my buy parts have at least initial costs to start with, and I can move on to my costing. Now, my costing workbench is kind of cool. I think it tells you some high-level KPIs. You can see here my costs are built up from my unit costs, my material, labor, overhead breakdown. And this is kind of the cost I'm looking at right here. If this is a brand new part, so it won't have any revision history, but if there was any, you would see it in here. There's two different reviews. One is a tree view and a sectional view. A tree view, which looks at it like in traditional kind of flat style, but you can also collapse and expand any of the sections to see what's underneath it in terms of the BOM structure. Also across the top here, you see these are called the costing buckets that we've assigned. Again, these are standard ones that we have in the system, but you can change to modify what it says, and you can also add up to, I think, 20 cost buckets that we support. And this rolls up and tells you every roll up and then where the total piece cost is at the end on the highest level here on my finished good. Okay. We also have a sectional view if you want to go in by these different cost buckets and edit what you can on those cost buckets. We also have an edit in spreadsheet. If you like to prefer to work inside of a spreadsheet, you can click on that and you can edit those, and you save from there, and it just gets updated into here. And that's being worked on and finalizing right now. And I'm not going to click the finalized costing yet. I'm going to recompute. And if you see, my cost went up to 102.64. So that means some rates or something changed from the last time that I did this. So great. I'm up to date now. I'm at 102.64. And if I wanted to look, I could look at the P&L just to show you guys it's there. I'm gonna save that for after I do the pricing and go through some of these other costing pieces here. All right. So I'm going kind of quick. I know you can come back on the video and watch through these. So I see here that some things got populated. These purple dots mean that the suppliers have already been assigned. And again, we can change that through this process if we need to, or something new comes in. On my routing and manufacturing is here. I'm going to click on that. A little bit of a busy screen, but we've got your make items here, and those are the ones that you can add operations to and assign the routing. So basically, I'm going to click on the rolled up so you can see all of them at the same time. And you can see down here that I've got a few different operations: assembly, frame assembly, and stamping. And you can edit anything that you need to at this point. This was the previous cost that was pulled in using this set of processes. And if you click on the edit, you can change anything in case something changed. And maybe I'm going to maybe increase the machine rate here. I know it's going to be a little bit more. And now that increased it to 304. So I'm going to click the changes, and immediately everything is reflected in the new with the changes that you just put in, and it's completely costed and rolled up correctly. Okay, and that also populates into the costing workbench that we just looked at. Okay. Going further down the aisle here, we've got capital investments. This was the capital, again, just for demo purposes. You may or may not use the same piece of capital or want to include it in your amortization, but you might want to reference it for other reasons. So this was the previous capital that I had set up. And I had, if I want to click link the edit here, this tells about the capital, how much it was, and whether or not you had what the depreciation was, the year you acquired it, and whether or not you're going to amortize it. And to give you a little breakdown of the amortization, you can select whether you want to allocate it to everything in the RFQ, all in the program, which would cross a number of different RFQs, or specific things you want to match. And you can select your interest rate to, and it adds up to be that. So I'm going to click save. Oh, so working on that. So here we've got the capital, and again, being able to roll that amortization into the piece cost. Tooling, same type of thing. I don't have any on this particular one that I copied over, but you can add the tooling, and then also ED&D. Again, you can make an edit. This one pulled ahead from somebody else. Let's say the full-time hours were maybe a little bit different. Again, this updates automatically, dynamically, and it automatically gives you the amortization for that if you want to include that. You don't have to amortize it. You can just pay for it without. You can absorb it too. Okay. All right. So that gives it. And again, this is everything is rolling up into the costing workbench. Okay. All right. I think we're good with costing. I'm going to go ahead and recompute one last time. Got an extra penny there. I'm going to finalize the costing in right now, so that I can move on to the pricing, and we're good to go. This number, if I was to look back in quoting, I would see the pricing and costing. Sorry, the costing is done, and this number would show in the costing tab into on the quote itself in OM. I'm going to go ahead and go into now my third use case, which is pricing. So going to pricing now. There's two different ways that we have traditional pricing, where basically I'll take the cost that you just calculated and you can add on whatever margin you want. It's automatically going to give you a target price. You can add any type of adjustments that you want in that. And also scrolling down here to the bottom, you can add your LTA schedules, volume tier pricing, and SOP ramp pricing. And those will all be included in calculating what this price is going to be. I want to use AI pricing. Again, those will still have those schedules at the bottom if you want to include the LTAs. But this is also taking that into account already. And it gives me a little a breakdown. It starts with the base cost, adds a margin, and I can adjust that here, and you see that some of this gets adjusted as well. If I want to make it, maybe it's a high risk, and I click on high, it automatically makes some of these adjustments. The AI factors and the weighted factors, what the values are, come out to be adjusted based on the changes you're making in the AI engine here. All right, so before I want to go ahead and save this AI, because I want to take a look at my P&L and see what it looks like. I can come back and change this if I need to, but we'll go ahead and save the AI price. So I'm looking at 140, 114 on a 103 base cost. So let me pop over into my program summary. Here's my program. There's some top level KPIs about the total. I've got a couple running quotes on here in ACO. My 21 is my new quote. Great. So I'm going to go ahead and look at my life cycle. So my P&L specifically for this quote that I'm on, the AEEA, and I'm going to sync it so that it pulls in my new. And with one button now, I've got a P&L. This is super, super cool. You don't have to export and try to get the right format and then, insert a bunch of lines and rows and make sure all the calculations work. It just comes in automatically for you and works smoothly. You can see here, I'm scrolling down to a graphical view of your, we had CapEx that would show here as well. It tells you their cost of goods sold and your cash and revenue over the course of the SOP, the EOP. Okay, so you can see visually there. There's some nice charts and other visuals here as you scroll down. And I'm getting to the cool part, and any upfront investment would show here in operating economics, but is your P&L. So I'm going to just maximize the screen a little bit. So I'm closing this left navigation here so you can see a little bit better. So here's my volume that I brought in to the CPQ, and my revenue automatically calculating from the revenue, the price that I just put in, my ED&D that I'm going to be spending in the first year, and my variable costs. This is, again, your standard P&L automatically with all the values filled in and for you. So you can do some analysis and to see if this is going in the direction that you want. Okay. Great. So I'm just to move on to time here for lack of time. We're going to go ahead and finalize our pricing. And I'm going to click this button to finalize. And do I want to route it directly for approvals? Yes, I definitely want to go ahead and route for approvals. And now this completes the CPQ workflow that we've got here. Everything is checked off. Everything's ready to go. And one last thing I'm going to do here is release this so that it becomes a revision that's frozen in this version. Okay. All right. So let's go back to opportunity management, and I'm going to refresh the screen so you can see the updates here. So we're now no longer provisional cost. We now have a final cost, and that's a 10305, and that's checked off here saying it's done. You can see our cost by category breakdown there. And I click on pricing again. This is the 141.14 that we just promoted, and giving you some detail there as well. And I'm going to focus on my approval next because it's in this stage right now. It's awaiting approval. Now you can set up your own DOA. I just had a really basic DOA with 3 people. 1 quorum of 1 is needed in order to move this on, but you can set up your own based on certain values in margin or whatever to go to different levels of people based on those DOA rules. I also got an email notification at the same time. For lack of time here today, I'm not going to bring it up, but you can approve or deny right from the email. And there's also a button to ask more questions in case you want to use the AI to ask questions of this quote before you go approve or deny it. So I'm going to go ahead and approve really quickly here. And we see that a quorum has been met, and I've gone ahead and approved, and you see the green checkbox means it's ready to go to the next step. So in our submission, we're going to we're going to go ahead and submit to the OEM, and I'm going to click this button here. You would have downloaded a package, and that's what you're going to submit. We're also working on APIs to the portals for the OEMs for you to submit there automatically. We've got, at some point, hopefully soon, you get a notification from the customer or the OEM, whether or not you've ordered or lost. You can see here if it might go through different rounds, you'll reprice and reapprove, or maybe go through some negotiation, and that can go through some revisioning as well. So we're going to go ahead and just award this. And you can also select whether it goes to an existing program, which you already had, or you can select creating a new program in case you need to create a new program and it needs to now be tracked differently than you've already, how you've pushed it through so far. So I'm going to select this one automatically. I already had it there. Confirm award. And now basically this RFQ is done and I'm in awarded state. All right. So this wraps up the use case 3. And we're going to just spend a few minutes on use case 4 and a couple minutes, I think might be a couple minutes behind, but we'll go quickly through the EC process. So I'm in the quote, I'm going to fast forward a year and assume I get an EC. I'm on a program. Here's what my T3 program I'm on. I can click in here. I can click in request ECO from here, and I can also do it on the quote page, but I'm going to go in the program itself. Oh, and you see here just a little peek upcoming something. We're doing incoming, the same type of PO ingestion from your email, and this works really cool as well. That will automatically reconcile the PO based off of what your contracts. But that's coming. Let's see. So I'll go back into and I will click on the request ECO here. Well, this is just a really simple intake form. Automatically, it pulls in the program that we're in. And please do this change. What we'd like this to do is that we'll do the similar email intake from your inbox to automatically populate some of these fields and send them along. So we're going to do this. It's just a request for an ECO, and it gives you a note here that the costing team will pick it up from their triage queue. So good, great. That's been started and they requested. I'm going to come back here and go to my quoting tab, and I see here now there's a new ECO request here on the dashboard. Great. So please do this change. Here's my note. It pulls out also any attachments you can load here, or again, we're going to put it on the other screen and be able to push them here. You can pick in case there's numerous finished goods for this program, which there are in this case. This is one I did before. Here's another one. So I'm going ahead and select the right finished good to confirm that I'm making the change against the right one, and I can convert this to a quote. Okay, as easily as that, I put in the change to part requested. Again, this information, if it's coming in from an RFQ, we can automatically populate it and put it in these fields for you, so you're not having to do the typing. That saves you the time. We have different change types here. We have a change classes, and what change classes will do, saying whether or not how many parts of the workflow do we want to skip. If we want to include all of them, it's the major change, then has to go through every step, and everyone needs to look at it. But if it's a really short or minor change, it may not have to go through all the steps in the workflow. All right, so selecting a reason, customers requested it. You have it automatically populates with the finished good that we were just in, and any information you have, it affects a supplier. You put in your as is state, and again, this can populate automatically from your email. And justification. Need to change something. Okay. Anyway, so obviously might be more financially motivated or whatever the customer wants. And the impact analysis just gives you, if you know at this time, if there's any impact, you can put that in here as well. And then if this change is approved, then when will it be effective? You can choose that date since this is a worded program. And then click Create ECO Quote. And from here, now basically this quote comes in and it follows the same type of workflow, only it may or may not go through all the steps. So, but generally I'll follow some of the same logic. And I'm going to click on now it removed from my ECO request. It will go in my work, but also I'm going to show you all quotes. There's a toggle over here on the right hand side where I can just click for ECs, and you can see here's my change that I just requested, 9412. Okay, and it brought in the volume from the RFQ where it was, or the last time that it got updated, and I can see here that had initial cost on it, and the costing is in progress. And you can see here from the workflow, we've already defined a finished good. Don't need to do that. There was already a BOM in there in case you need, but if you need to, part of this process, upload a new BOM, then you can do that as well. But at least it brought in what it already existed. This team has already been assigned. You can change it if you need to, in case you have a different team that does RFQs from the ECs, but the original team was assigned again, and now you're automatically put into the costing step. So you can start building out what those costs are. Okay. So yeah, so we're going to kind of click on that. And if I need to make changes in the visual BOM or suppliers or costing, I'm going to zoom forward, and I know you've seen all this. I don't want to repeat all that again. We have a limited time here. You can see here that I've got a unit cost. Do a quick recompute if you want to have any other cost changes, you make them, or whether there's a BOM change or a supplier change, or again, any type of change. When you're ready, you can finalize the costing, and it follows the same steps that we just talked about in the RFQ. I'm going to jump back to opportunity management and wrap up this use case, number 4. I'm going to go back to the quotes. As you see here on the quote management page, you also have visibility. Now the salesperson can see that my ECO was actually executed, and it's in process now, and it's pending. And I can take a look at that and see at any time. I click the button here. I can see that, oh, great. There's also an overview, again, pulling the volumes from the previous, what the volumes were defined for this program. I can go through a feasibility and or an assessment, a risk assessment about this particular change. And then right now you can see this costing already populated the costing step. And if there's needs to be pricing, then there'll be pricing associated, but we can skip steps if there isn't a price impact. All right, great. Cool. So that wraps up the 4 use cases that I want to show you today. And I wanted to give you a sneak peek at our new AI insights. And what this is a tool that is using AI, and I've got some pre-populated prompts here over to the right-hand side. I'm going to go ahead and click on it. It takes a minute. But you can ask in natural language anything about the OMSF or the CPQ or the quote or anything data that's brought in here. And basically kind of replacing reporting. This goes back to the finding meaning in the data piece of what we want to accomplish with the new system. I don't just want to show you a report or print a report. Yeah, because anybody can do that and build, take time and build the database out and get a report and get a template and get a report writer and all that. And then look at the data and analyze it. But this shows you immediately if you're looking for something, it gives me a visual, and then it also gives me a summary immediately of, hey, you have significant growth from 2026 to 2027. And it gives you kind of a summary of what the question you've asked for, giving you a breakdown and giving you key insights about it. Telling you, here's one thing, the entire long-range forecast is currently dependent on a single OEM, Ford. Well, that makes sense because I do all my demos on Ford, but that represents a concentration risk, which we're going to see also here in recommended actions. So it gives you a number of those things as well. So it's kind of really, really cool based off of actually looking at your data and not just giving you what the data is, but giving you insights about the data. So we're working on this. This will be in every module, and you'll actually see this throughout, even within the functions themselves. You'll see the little AI insights and risk assessments and stuff like that. We're definitely working to populate all those throughout the entire application.
So below that, there's a question, and then that bulleted list you see there is all of the questions from the chat tab.
The organizer, what kind of infrastructure updates were required to support V40? Is that where we're starting from? Okay.
Yeah, that's the first one. Yeah.
Okay, awesome. Great. We'll get back to you on some of these questions, the infrastructure questions. The V40 is it's a multi-tenant, and we're hosting it. So it'll be kind of a different platform that we're moving people to. And we'll follow up definitely with more details on that, specifically with your professional services team or your support team. Are the unengaged opportunities filtered for each individual user? Okay. The unengaged, yes. You can set who your customers are, who your OEMs are, and you can set up that. I just had it kind of broadly open so I could show a bunch of them. Is the new part data based on hierarchy data, or do we have manually to type these in? The new part data based on hierarchy. Is the part itself, maybe the attributes of the data? We have some generic categories and types, and we're going to be able to add additional attributes on the parts. And right now, we'll keep adding functionality. If we don't have hierarchy at this point, we can add in hierarchy data if we need to. Can we configure forecast criteria and part category? Yes, we just mentioned you can configure your own part category. I'm not sure about forecast criteria. That is that was the segments. You can configure that as well. That's set up as a setting. Can we select multiple parts per ECO? Right now, we're doing it for one part, but we will be adding support for multiple parts. Will the quote tab replace the business processes? Quote tab. Is that within the I'm assuming you mean within the OMSF or OM?
That was, I believe, in reference to CPQ.
Okay. Yeah. So we don't have a quote tab. Yes, the quote on the OM business. We're not doing configurable business processes the way we were before. Again, we're standard in the spirit of standardization. We're giving best practice to what automotive suppliers typically do in their process instead of letting everybody set up. That's one of the main questions I got in all the years that I've been doing this, is that what is your best practice, and help us. And we're like, well, what do you want to do? So we ended up sometimes with some customers, with some really convoluted long processes. And it really boiled down to a certain series of steps that were always followed all the time. And that's kind of what we've outlined. So we don't have the configurable business process, but we feel like we've captured what the essence of what needs to be done within that process. For any amortization, is there a place to load any associated documents such as quotes from suppliers, approvals, upper management? Yes, we're adding that. We're currently implementing our DMS solution, and we're going to be embedding that throughout everywhere. So you're going to see that soon. Additionally, when we have amortization of capital or tooling in a cost model, will we be able to automatically track that amortization through the life of the program once awarded? Where will we see where that balances out? Yes, you see where that balances out. I didn't know if you saw, I quickly showed, but yeah, you can see where it's, you can see that visually on the graph, and you can track that through the life of the program. That all those numbers still continue. It doesn't change anything. That's not sure if I answered that question right, but yes, for DOA rules, are there any limitations on parameters we can set? An approval, sequential, or concurrent? There are two parameters that we currently have is margin and revenue or amount, amount. We can add more if we need to. And what is the filter for the BOM listing? What is the filter for the BOM listing? We have a couple filters, but it's a quick search filter right now, but we can add more automatic filters if we need to, like pre-configured filters. I think that got all of them. If I didn't answer your question, I apologize. I'm just trying to wrap up quickly here.
We have a couple more that just sort of came in there at the top. So if you scroll up in the Q&A, one from Chris and one from Nizan, it looks like.
Okay. Great. Where is the business process map with assignments? Okay, so like again, we don't have the a business process the way we do in our old V39 system, our prior system. Like we follow the standard business process, and you saw within OM, we saw the quote life cycle that was telling you what process is it. It's where you at, whether you're at in quoting, costing, submit, whatever. And then, or in CPQ itself, we have that workflow that you can access in many different places to show you exactly those, 6 or 7 steps that we have there. And the assignments are, I didn't really show that, kind of glossed over that today, but if you are, if you have a team assignments, there's a team, there's actually a dashboard for team stuff. So you can look on that, you'll be able to see that. Can LTAs be entered as percentages or also in absolute fixed values? I don't remember. I know that I can put them in as percentages, but I don't know I'll have to look back and answer that. I'll answer that question for you.
Okay, and then we have one more question from the chat that just came in. I just posted it in the Q&A tab. And that's the last one.
Was it the LTAs or the infrastructure?
No, it should be at the top. The question was, is the AI closed circuit?
Is the AI closed circuit? I'm not sure to answer that. Well, I'll get that answer back for you. Oh, here, a new post. There it is. Is the AI closed circuit? I can't answer the technical question behind that, but I will get that answer for you, and we'll come back to you on that, unless anyone technical on the call can help me out.
No, that's okay. We'll share it in an email. So just so everybody knows, there will be a couple of follow-up emails after this. One with the survey, which we would really appreciate if you could fill that out. Share your feedback. Let us know how we can keep improving. And then additionally, we'll have the webinar recording and the slide deck, and we'll answer some of these questions we didn't answer. We'll follow up on those as well. So keep an eye on your inbox.
Awesome. And if I didn't answer your question, there is a little spot in the survey to say, this is my unanswered question. Please answer this a little bit more thoroughly or whatever, if you'd like to, and we'll follow up with you.
Amazing. Okay, so that's going to wrap up the webinar. Thank you, everybody, so much for joining, and have a great rest of your Wednesday.